I'm so glad that you're here. I'm super excited. We have so much to cover in the next 90 minutes. And so thank you so much for giving me your time this morning. I'd love you to jump into the chat and just let me know where you're joining us from. I know we've got people joining us from all across Australia and some from the US and New Zealand. So it's really great to have you here. So I'd love to know where you're dialing in from today. So yeah, just jump into the chat and say hi and let us know where you're coming from. Sunshine Coast, we've got some people here from the Philippines. Amazing. Hello from Perth. Hey, Helen, thanks for joining us. It's early there, so hopefully you've got your coffee sorted. Gold Coast, hello. Truffle Lady, I love you. We have some people from Neutral Bay in Sydney. Hello, David Newton, blast from the past. I used to live right near you, so great to see you here. Great to see you, Karen. We've got lots of people from Sydney, so welcome, welcome, welcome. So today, as I said, I've got lots of content to cover, and I know that we've got lots of people here today in this Zoom room who are all at different points in their speaker journey. Some of you are just starting out. I can see from the chat that we've got some very seasoned, experienced professional speakers here in the room, and it's great that you're all here and you're all going to take very different things out of today. So let's get started. The first thing I need to let you know, for those of you who don't know me, I am not here today to teach you anything that I haven't, or walk a path that I haven't walked already. As some of you know, some of you may not know, I've been a professional speaker for 15 years now. I've done over 1,500 presentations in 15 countries. So I'm kind of the real deal. And as I said, I'm going to take you behind the scenes today and really share what has worked for me, what I've learnt, the mistakes I've made, but more importantly, what I know, the 8-part blueprint that I've used to build a 7-figure speaking brand. So I wanted to get that out of the way because I know there's in lots of different industries. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing lots of coaches pop up teaching things that perhaps they have never done themselves. So I wanted to share with you that everything I'm teaching you today are things that I know work and have gotten me onto the stages all over the world, including $1 Million Roundtable, which I spoke at last year in Singapore. 9,000 people. It's widely regarded as the Super Bowl for speakers. It was on my goals list for 8 years. So it took me 8 years to get on that stage, but I achieved it, which was amazing. And I'm going to take you a little, as I said, behind the scenes and share a little bit about that journey with you today. So I want to take you back though. This is footage of me in 2017. I was 6 months pregnant, I think, as you can see there in the picture, and I had recently become a single mum, which wasn't ideal, and I was kind of a little frightened because my parents have passed away. It's just me, the buck stops with me. And I was kind of like, what am I going to do to kind of, build a livelihood and a future for my baby? And it was actually Lisa McGuinness-Smith, she's regarded as the godmother of speaking. She said to me, you're going to ramp up your speaking, take your baby on the road and build a really solid financial future for yourself and your baby. And so I, inspired by that insight, because that's what she had done with her children. And so inspired by that insight, I doubled down on my speaking business, invested heavily in my brand. I hired a team in the Philippines, a full-time video editor, a full-time web developer, a graphic designer, and a virtual assistant. And I just really applied everything that I knew about marketing, and that's my background, to my speaker brand, and just really invested heavily and doubled my business. And so I was really fortunate for the following few years to travel with my baby, to build a very successful business, and almost be a full-time mum, but also have this incredible career as a speaker. And so this team in the Philippines has been really instrumental in my growth. This is the original there's one missing there because her visa didn't come through, but this is my original team at the Noosa Heads Surf Club. So I brought them out to Australia, which was super fun. This was 7 years ago. And that core team is still with me today. We've grown that team now. We've just actually returned from the Philippines, where our team of 8, we had a 4-day retreat with them in Boracay, which was super fun. So I'm going to share a little bit about outsourcing with you today and how that can help you grow your business no matter where you're at in your speaking career. But I guess the big question that I know I've had a few messages this week is like, what is this all about, and why are you sharing all of your trade secrets with other speakers who many of you are essentially competitors of mine? And there's a couple of really simple reasons. The first one is that speaking has gifted me lots of incredible friendships. Some of my best friends are speakers. I have incredible fun with lots of other speakers, and I feel very grateful of the relationships and the friendships that I've built through speaking. And you may know that last year I got married to Chris Helder, who until that time, well, still is actually my #1 competitor. So I spent maybe 10 years trying to work out how to knock Chris off from a competitive point of view, and I think I maybe cracked the code. I kind of went a bit all in, a bit of a radical strategy, and married him. So I feel like speaking has gifted me a lot, and maybe I need to give back a little bit. But also, I'm just I have an abundant mindset. I'm a big believer that a rising tide lifts all boats. And also, speaking is a really crazy job. It's actually quite a lonely business. I think people who aren't speakers look at our industry from the outside and they think it's this super fun, we hang out at conferences and we hang out in airport lounges, and it's simply not the case. It's a pretty lonely business. So I think if you can be connected with other speakers, rising tide lifts all boats. We all learn from each other, and it's a super fun little community. So I want to firstly kind of understand perhaps where you're at in your speaker journey. As I said, everyone's going to take very different things out of today because we've got lots of people at different stages in their journey. And you might be here today because you're just putting together your initial presentation. You're just starting out and you're thinking about, what is my message going to be? How am I going to tell my story from stage? And how am I going to kind of really launch my content, my story, or my expertise? You may be in the stage where you've got your presentation fully sorted, you know what your content is, you know what your message is, but you're really just looking for ways to persuade more people to put you on their stage. So that you may be in the persuasion stage. You may have got all that sorted and you're doing some speaking, but you may be looking at, what's my positioning? Now, I have to tell you, the speaking market has changed dramatically in the last few years. There's never been more speakers in the market. It's a very crowded, it's a very noisy market. So your brand positioning, and we're going to talk a lot about this today, because I believe that your brand positioning is the most critical thing that you need to get right. And it's probably the biggest mistake that I see speakers making, is that they might have really great digital assets, really great video content, but their brand positioning is just not clear. And, we're in this situation in this market now where decisions about speakers are made in seconds. Can I get you guys to pop on mute, please?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, we've got someone who... Oh, there we go. So brand positioning is the most important thing to get right. It is the basis and is the platform for everything. So super important that you get that right. And I'm going to show you a little formula for that today. So you may have your presentation sorted, you've got your content sorted, you've got your positioning sorted. Now it's time to really elevate your profile and become the go-to expert in your niche. So just thinking about those 4 areas, I'd love you to pop into the chat, just thinking about where you feel you are at. Where do you feel you're at? What is the area, those 4 areas that you're here to learn more about today? Is it profile? Is it persuasion? You want to kind of up your presentation skills? Yeah, Kat, your positioning and profile. That's awesome. You're going to get a lot out of today. Karen, you want positioning? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you a very cool framework today. Position and profile. A lot of you here for profile. That's awesome. Positioning. Yeah, awesome. Well, you're in the right Zoom room today, my friends. Amazing. So they're the 4 areas that we're going to kind of cover today. But I really want, firstly, for you to think about, no matter where you're at in those 4 kind of quadrants. I want you to just do a little reflection now and just think about if you could step onto more stages this year, what would that look like in terms of income, influence, and impact? So no matter where you're at right now, if you could have a framework for stepping onto more stages, and also what's holding you back from stepping onto more stages? Is it one of those 4 areas? Is it time? And also, if you had a magic wand, what would you do, have, be, and access to make 2025 your best speaking year on record? Because I think we're in this kind of little bit of a perfect storm at the moment. While there are definitely never been more speakers on the market, there's actually the growth in the market right now. I think this is the first year since COVID that we're certainly seeing not just a little bit of growth, but a massive upswing in the number of speaking opportunities. So just think about those 3 questions for a sec, maybe take some notes down if you're happy to share in the chat, or just kind of think, just do a little moment of reflection on those 3 questions. All right. So, as I said, we've got really lots of content to cover today, and I'm going to show you, as I said, I'm an open book, as you can probably already tell. I'm going to take you behind the scenes and show you the 8-part blueprint that not only has worked for me, but we now work with on with our members to really elevate their brand, amplify their brand, and elevate their impact in the market to get them onto more stages and bigger audiences. So the 8-part blueprint that I'm going to share with you today are these, and we get through as much as we possibly can, is firstly going to talk about website and what are the boxes that your website needs to tick. It needs to do the heavy lifting for you. So what does that need to look like? What does it need to be saying? And how does it need to be presenting you out in the market? It's really your number 1 sales weapon. We're then going to talk about the science of your speaker kit, what that needs to look like, what it needs to be saying, how it needs to be presented. We're then going to talk about the power of LinkedIn. So we work with a lot of our members on prospecting. We have a prospecting program and a process that I'm going to show you today of how you can really leverage and unleash the full power of LinkedIn. We're then going to talk about other socials and give you some insights into what's working with other social platforms. We're then going to talk about video, my number 1, my favorite subject. As many of you know, I could bang on about video all day, every day. Video. If you are not harnessing the full power of video in your speaker business, you are climbing a mountain that's way steeper than it needs to be. We're then going to talk about prospecting, not just with LinkedIn, but some other things as well, and the flow and the nurture sequence that you need to be implementing in your plugging into your business to build you a pipeline of opportunities. I'm then going to show you a little sort of process for client love. No longer is it enough to be stepping onto stage, doing an awesome job and sitting back and waiting for the phone to ring. We need to be nurturing our clients. We need to be following up. So I'm going to show you what I do either side of that keynote presentation to really maximize those opportunities. And then we are going to talk about maximization. I'm going to show you some little tips and tricks on how you can turn one speaking opportunity into multiple. So let's get stuck in. But before we get into any of those 8 areas, I do want to talk about branding. As I said, it needs to be the platform for everything that you do in your business. It is the basis for all of your marketing, and your brand positioning is probably the most important thing, because as I said, decisions on speakers are now made in seconds, not minutes. So your message to the market, your expertise, your superpower, what it is that you bring to the table needs to be so crystal clear that it makes it almost impossible for people not to choose you if you are the expert in your particular niche. So your brand position ideally should sit at the intersection of three things. Firstly, market demand. That sounds obvious, but we need to make sure that there is actually demand for your topic and for your expertise. And so then it needs to fall within your expertise. There's some people in this room would share in this opinion that we've seen speakers out there who look at a fad or look at a topic that's kind of hot right now, and they decide that they can talk on that as well. And they come and go very quickly. So it obviously needs to sit within your expertise and within your thought expert, within your thought leadership. And then ideally a gap in the market. As I said, this is probably the hardest of the three to really nail because the market is very crowded, but often it's about taking a broad topic and really identifying what's your particular unique spin on that. So the broad topic, for example, might be leadership. That's a very broad topic, but the market demand and your expertise and the gap in the market around that may be something around future-proofing. So looking at future-proofing your leadership skills. So that's a particular spin on that topic, which is leadership. So that is an example of the intersection of those three things. So market demand, your expertise, and a gap in the market. And then ideally, is it unique? Something that hopefully no one else is talking about, and is it memorable? So the litmus test that I always share with people is if I am a bureau consultant, for example, in a speaker's bureau. And remember that speakers, bureau consultants are selling speakers that, for the most part, they've never actually seen speak before. They've got the video assets and all of that, but they're selling them to a client. So can I, as a bureau consultant, explain to a client in 25 words or less, ideally 10 words or less, what it is that you talk about and what it is that you bring to the table and what is your brand promise? And the strength of that message and what you're known for, what are the words that are attached to you permanently, that is the litmus test for you having a strong brand positioning. And then it needs to filter through all of your assets, all of your speaker kit, your website. It needs to be the thing that you are world famous for. So what is the thing that you are world famous for? What is that thing that you want to be known for? And that is where your brand positioning should sit. And I'll show you a couple of examples from some of our members that we work with. Jordana, who is an incredible MC. When she came to us, she was really known as kind of an MC, a comic, and a magician, not a very clear brand positioning. So what we identified for her is that we learn infinitely more when we're laughing. So that is now her brand promise to the market, and the science of laughter, the fact that she's the funniest female MC in the country, but she's able to also demonstrate that as the MC, a client is able to get more value from all the other speakers they're investing in because she's making them laugh. So she's opening their hearts and their minds, and they're learning more as a result. So that is her clear brand promise to the market. Kelly Tomney, who's one of our wonderful members, is a leadership speaker, but she's all about cracking the confidence code. So unleashing that confidence superpower within audiences and within leadership. Michael Lysenblatt, who's a member of ours, is all about pressure proof. So that is his promise to the market. That is his clear brand positioning, and that is the promise that he owns in the marketplace. Ali Nitschke, who's also a leadership speaker, but she's also all about finding your fire. So she's an inspirational, motivational leadership speaker. So that's her spin on it. And then Michelle Bowden, who, if any of you want incredible presentation skills training, she is your go-to girl. And so Michelle has kind of two messages to the market. She's all about how to present, which is her presentation skills training, and then how to persuade, which is her keynote positioning. So you can have two positioning statements, depending on who it is that you're talking to. But ideally they should be complementary and sit alongside. All right, so that is a little bit about brand positioning. As always, if you have any questions or something's not clear, pop it into the chat. But that is kind of the framework that we work with our members to really nail their brand positioning. And by the way, I will say it's really hard to do it for yourself. I'm a marketing expert, but I couldn't do my own brand positioning. I had to get some external help. I'm a little bit like the plumber with the leaky tap. So often it's just about getting that external perspective and that external viewpoint. And you'll often have someone external to your brand who'll see things that you can't see because you're too close to it. Sometimes it's a bit hard to see the forest for the trees. All right, let's talk about website. As I said, it's your number one salesperson. It's your shop front. It's usually the first thing. If no one has heard of you and no one's heard of your topic, it's usually the first thing that they land and the first experience that they have with your speaker brand. So it needs to be bold and it needs to do a couple of things. I'm just going to walk you through mine to show you the boxes that your website ideally should tick to be doing the heavy lifting for you. Now, the first thing you'll see if you land on my website is that it's got my bold promise, my brand positioning, Australia's #1 expert on consumer trends and customer experience. That's my brand promise to the market. But the first thing that I should see if I land on your speaker site is either a hero image of you on stage or video content of you on stage, and it needs to be telling a story. And the story that it needs to be telling is this is an experienced speaker. I'm in safe hands if I book this speaker. I'm just going to go back because that's gone through a little quick for me. The second thing I want to see, and you'll see that this content cascades down, is I want to see a little bit of information. So here, a little bit of info, but I can learn more if I want to. And then it cascades down into video content, fast facts. And then you can see here that you can download my speaker kit with one click, but then video content cascades down very quickly. Now I'm going to talk about show reels today. And then you've got testimonial content and a credibility strip, a media credibility strip. I'm going to talk about video content today, particularly around your show reel. And I have a little bit of a controversial view on show reel. I'm not a believer in having one show reel for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's very hard to showcase your full expertise in 1, 2, 3, 4 minute video. I remember my first show reel, maybe 14, 15 years ago. How embarrassing. It was very expensive. It was very fancy and it cost me, I don't know, maybe $8,000. And what I was trying to do in that show reel was speak to all of my core target audiences, which range from retail to real estate to banking and finance, because I'm able to customize my message for all of those different industries. And what was happening is that a banking and finance client, for example, looked at my show reel and went, we really like her, but she's a little bit too retail focused. A retail client might look at it and say she's a little bit service-based business because, you know, it's really hard to tell a full story in one show reel. So as a result of that feedback and now investing heavily in video, I've now got 32 show reels that are all from different industries. So if I get an inquiry, and as you can see on my website there, that video content is categorized and is customized across those different industries. So if I'm a real estate client, I can receive custom real estate show reels. So I get the sense very quickly, whether it's banking and finance, whether it's retail, whether it's small business and franchise, I can view video content that's customized to my industry. So that is about saying to a client, okay, yes, we get her, she gets our industry, she gets the nuances, she gets the challenges and the opportunities within our particular sector. So customized showreel content is ideally where you want to get to. And showing that on your website, the more video content, the better. So, and as you can see, I've got those testimonial videos as well. So yeah, if you go to my website, you'll see well over 30 pieces of video content, and that is the ideal. Video is just where you want to be investing your money. You know, as speakers, people want to hear us speaking. I know that sounds really simple, but it's not simplistic. But the more video content that you have of you on stage, that is where you want to be. If you said to me, what's the one thing I should invest in the next 12 months, it is video and being able to demonstrate that. And then I've got all of those videos as dedicated landing pages. So if I get an inquiry today from a real estate client, I'm able to send them custom real estate content and video content very, very quickly. So that is our website. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. We have a question here. Can I clarify if that's brand or keynote positioning? Really good question. So just to give you a distinction on that, Corin, so my brand positioning is Australia's #1 expert on consumer trends and customer experience. My keynote, I have lots of different keynote topics, are slightly different. So my new keynote, and it's the name of my new book, is called Radical Customer Obsession. So that is the title of the keynote, but my brand positioning is Australia's #1 expert on consumer trends and customer experience. So hopefully that distinguishes the difference there for you. Any questions on website? Hopefully that's given you some things to think about, and yeah, some ideas on those boxes that your website needs to tick for it to be doing that heavy lifting for you. All right, let's keep going. What are we going to talk about next? We're now up to speaker kit. So your speaker kit's super important. The difference between your website and your speaker kit, I actually had a speaker recently say, why do I need a speaker kit if all of that information is on my website? And here is the reason. There are often multiple people involved in the decision process for a speaker. So often what will happen is that the CEO or the head of events, depending on the company and the size of the company and the industry, will say, so we'll say to their EA, could you, we want to put some speakers together for our conference, some options. These are the topics that we want. Can you go and research some options? Maybe give us 3 options in each of these subjects. So that it'll be maybe leadership, customer experience, and sales, for example. And so that EA will go and do their research. Obviously, they'll Google, they may even use ChatGPT. And they will go to those websites, but then they will need something to then take to that CEO or take to that committee to review. So as I said, these decisions are often made in seconds, not minutes. So the speaker kit is your asset that person will often download, print off, and take to that committee. So your speaker kit needs to be doing a couple of things. Good question, Mary. Do you need a separate website for speaking and separate from other services offered? Yes, you should ideally have a dedicated speaking page, or at least if you are offering other services, we have a lot of our members who are speakers and they also do coaching and consulting. But if you're going to have that all within one website, have your initial homepage have 2 very clear entry points on that. So if I'm coming to your site to learn about you as a speaker, I either want to see dedicated content up front or a very clear entry point for me to access that information. Hopefully that answers that question. Okay, so speaker kit, couple of points on this. Cover page, again, needs to be telling a story. So hero shot of you on stage. So again, this is, you want to see, I want to see you in front of a big audience. I want to get the sense, I want a comfort level. I want to get the sense that I'm in a safe pair of hands, that you're an experienced speaker, that you're comfortable in front of big audiences. So it's got to tell that credibility story quite early. You then want to go into, what is unique about you? And start to build those layers of credibility quite quickly. And as you can see, if you sort of look through my site, there is photos of me on stage in lots of different scenarios. We then want to get to a credibility summary, which is what we call it. So what are the things that make you unique? What are the things that give me a comfort level? Make me feel like I'm in a safe pair of hands. So a summary, if you like, and there's lots of different ways that you can do that. If you're starting out, for example, is it some testimonial content? You'll probably dial that up more. But if you're more seasoned, like how many presentations have you done? How many countries? Any awards that you've won? Or it could be media that you've featured in. So again, you just want a credibility summary here that starts to really build the value of your expertise. And then make the process really clear. Again, that sounds so obvious, but I'm amazed at how many speakers almost make it difficult to book you. Like, what is the process? How do I make an inquiry? What's the proposal process? And then what does it look like after that? So just outline that process very quickly. All right, let's talk about LinkedIn. There's a couple of recent changes to LinkedIn, which is super exciting, which I'm going to share with you today, and really talk about what is your LinkedIn profile? It's the place where decision makers are. So what does your LinkedIn profile need to be saying and doing to really optimize the platform for you? First thing is that it's ideally got to speak to your brand. So if you have particular brand colors, showcase that in your LinkedIn profile, in your profile picture. But you'll see here your banner image now. This is a recent change to LinkedIn. You can now upload up to 5 photos in your LinkedIn banner, which will then just slide through as a carousel. So it's much more interactive, it's much more animated, and there's lots of different ways you can use it. You can use it for a strong call to action if you have a particular program. I know some of you have coaching programs. You can use it just to really support your brand positioning, and just, I've used it in a really simple way, just 5 really strong key messages about my expertise, and they just scroll through. So again, it's just another way to bring your brand to life. So yeah, you can have up to 5 banner images now, which slide through as a carousel. So it's making LinkedIn a little bit more interesting, which is super cool. So again, you want to, in your profile, make it very clear that you're a speaker, and make it very clear what your brand positioning is. If you have something coming up, if you have something new, that's always good to include in your profile message as well. And then a couple of features with LinkedIn that are really super helpful as a speaker is your featured content. So think of this as kind of your pinned content, and ideally what you want that to feature is, again, really layering that credibility. So testimonial, video content, and really kind of thinking about ideally taking them out of LinkedIn into your ecosystem. So my 3, I think I've got multiple pinned content there, but the 3 primary ones are a recent recommendation from a client, and a pinned video content, which is my primary prospecting video, and we'll talk about that in a moment and how that differentiates from a show reel. And then I've got my story, which links to a page on my website. So really kind of using this featured content to showcase those primary content pieces that really set you apart from other speakers. And then recommendations. You really, as a speaker, LinkedIn is often where a client will initially find you. So the more recent recommendations you have, the better. And I always, with our members, we always recommend a give to get strategy. So that law of reciprocity, when you do a great job and you work with a great client, write them a recommendation on LinkedIn. 8 times out of 10, they will write you one back. So yeah, that's really important to be leveraging the recommendations section in LinkedIn. It's a really cool feature. All right, let's talk about other socials, and I'll talk more about prospecting, LinkedIn prospecting in a moment. But I want to talk a little bit about other socials. So LinkedIn is obviously your primary platform, your primary social platform to market yourself as a speaker. But we're having really great success and results recently with other socials, particularly Instagram, because remembering that while decision makers are on LinkedIn, 30-year-old event managers are also hanging out and spending more time on Instagram than they are on LinkedIn. So recently we've had some great results with video content. So these kind of short, sharp reels content have had really good traction, and I've gotten some really good business from Instagram. So again, it's all about the video content. It's all about repurposing your video content for this platform. So some, pretty good results there. Just some on-stage snippets and this more almost kind of podcasty type content works really well as well. So those short, sharp, under 60-second video content pieces are really suitable for Instagram. So a couple of content ideas here if you sort of are struggling with content and what to talk about and what to make videos about. It's not just your on-stage content. It's also you bringing your expertise to life in lots of other different ways. So it could be a trend prediction. One way to build your expertise and build your credibility in your subject matter is to, make some predictions about where your industry's heading, where your topic's heading. Is it consumer trends? Is it leadership trends? Think about what is your expertise and what is your opinion or point of view on where the industry is heading or what is happening in your industry. And do you know what? You don't always need to even get it right. It's just about having a point of view and having a perspective, which we'll talk more about in a moment. Book recommendations is always a good one. What's been your most epic experience and what did you learn? Short, sharp, top tips. Here are 5 ways to become a better leader. So whatever your subject is, what are those kind of high 5 top tips that you can share, which is always good as well. What's one piece of advice you'd give your 10-year-old self? Let's not go down that rabbit hole today. Get ready with me is good, particularly for the girls. Do you have some content that you're working on? Are you writing a book? Are you writing a white paper? Are you writing a case study? If you aren't, you should be. And can you share a little sneak peek about that content before it's released? So it's kind of more that work in progress kind of content, which is also good as well. All right, let's get on to video. As you know, I could talk about video all day, every day, because it's probably been the biggest game changer in my business. Investing heavily and doubling down on video definitely was the turning point for me. And you just can't have enough video in your speaker business. You cannot have enough videos. As I said, 32 show reels and counting. I'm just about to film another 6 this year. So it is an investment, but oh my goodness, the return on investment when you have a bank of video content that you can not only produce a custom show reel on, you can stitch it together in lots of different ways. Many of you know that I'm famous for my Kit Kat story, and there's one particular video that I edited from 16 different show reels, stitched it together, and that one video has generated over $250,000 in speaking revenue from an $80 investment. So when you've got lots of video content, it just opens up the way that you can bring that to life and how you can repurpose it, and your return on investment goes up exponentially. So the 6 videos that I believe you need in your speaker business are these. Don't feel overwhelmed with this if you don't have any of these videos currently. What I say to people is just pick one and take action on it. And by the way, I have kind of talked about video being a huge investment, but we do forget that in the palm of our hand, we now have the most sophisticated marketing device ever invented. It's a high definition video recording device. It has editing software, and most importantly, it is a distribution channel all in the palm of our hands. So start where you are and start. I'm going to show you these 6 videos. Most of them you can do yourself with your smartphone. Just have good lighting and a good microphone. You can get a really good kit for your phone for under $50 on Amazon. So there is literally no excuse to not be creating lots of cool video content. But these are the 6 I believe that you need. The first one is your positioner video. So this is your kind of bold stake in the ground video that talks to your expertise. What is it that's unique about you? What is your superpower? What are you world famous for? What can you talk about that no one else can talk about? And what value do you bring? What is your brand position? So your positioner position a video is obviously super important because it's that thing that that you're known for and that you're unique for, and that is your unique superpower. And position a video, there's lots of different ways that you can bring that to life from a creative perspective. We have, some of our members who join who don't have a position a video. I just say to them, get your phone and talk to the camera about what it is that's unique about you and make that your position a video. You can record that video piece to camera and then edit it and, make it look really super sexy. So position a video is the first one. The second one is your personal video. Now that is, kind of really, it's a really powerful video content piece because it's really your story. And in this very crowded market that we're in, your story, your why, your how you got into speaking, why you love it, how it came about, what gets you out of bed in the morning, it's your story. And it's really powerful because no one can compete with that. Your story is your unique story. And this has been an insight for me, even as a marketing expert. I am still blown away by how often and how much a client will often choose to do business with you or choose you as a speaker, not because of what you talk about, but why you're a speaker. It can be a really powerful element and a powerful pillar as part of your branding and marketing. So think about your story. What is it unique about you? How did you get into speaking? What's your why? And create that video, that personal video. Then you've got perspective video. So this is your expert commentary or take on a particular event, news item, or current trend that's happening. So your perspective video is about taking something that's already getting attention, that's already getting eyeballs, if you like, and getting that attention and redirecting that attention by giving your expert take on that particular subject. And there are some speakers out there in the market that harness this strategy really well. Louise Marler, for example, who's an incredible speaker, is all about body language. So she'll take something that's happening in the media, for example. Donald Trump is obviously huge fodder for her at the moment. Talk about his body language and talk about, Elon Musk's so-called Nazi salute and the fact that it actually wasn't a Nazi salute. So it's her expert take or commentary. So that helps build her expertise and also gets her lots and lots of media coverage as well. So perspective is just about monitoring what's going on in the market and providing your commentary or your expert take on it. Okay, then we have point of view, which is slightly different. That's about taking an element of your expertise and an element of your thought leadership and producing a content piece on it. So it's about really just unpacking one element of your knowledge, one element of your expertise and content, and producing a short video on that. Then we have proof. And it's really interesting on this. We're seeing a little bit of a transition in the market right now. So again, if you go to my website, you'll see around 32 show reels, I think we're up to now. I'm not sure how many, if they're all on the website. We've taken some of the older ones off, but they all feature testimonial content from people who've literally just seen me speak. So that's pretty powerful. But we've then got a series of videos that are just repurposed with all of those testimonials. So if you watch those videos, you'd see something in the vein of maybe 50 testimonials from people who've seen me speak. So that's pretty powerful. But what we're seeing right now is proof, that testimonial style content, because lots of people have testimonials. So it's always like what's the next thing? How do you elevate? How do you differentiate? So what we're working with our members right now is transitioning from testimonial content to case study content. So really strengthening the depth and the credibility of your proof type content by not just saying, oh, we just saw we just saw Samantha speak and she was absolutely amazing and blew the audience away. It's about, you know, Samantha spoke at our conference a year ago and these were the results. People are still talking about it. So we want to actually show how our content is moving the needle in an organization and how it's having that ongoing impact, not just on the day that you speak. So proof content, that testimonial style video is really important. People who've seen you speak, but more importantly, perhaps a video interview with a leader in that organization talking about your ongoing impact, not just the impact you had on the day. And then we've got promotion. Promotion content is that more short shelf life, promotional content, and there's lots of different ways you can use it. You may have a new book coming out and you may produce a video that says, hey, you know, anyone, if you'd like to speak, if you'd like to book me for your conference this year, I will include 100 copies of my new book valued at $2,500. So that's a more of a promotional message. Or you could shoot a promo video, which clients always love. Hey, it's Amanda Stevens here. I'm super excited to be speaking at your conference on the 30th of August. I am going to be talking about this, 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 and this. It's going to be super fun. Look forward to seeing you there. So editing that video, putting the client's logo, animating it, they always love that custom content. So they are the 6 videos you need in your business. Any questions on video? Hopefully you're not feeling overwhelmed with that. As I said, if you don't have any of those 6 videos currently, just pick one and just think about maybe doing your positioner video or your personal video. And again, there's lots, you can start where you are and create that with your iPhone. Mary, when just starting out, how do you make the speaker kit jazzy? If you've only done a couple of speaking gigs, good question, invest in a branding shoot. So visually your speaker kit needs to look really sexy. So invest in a branding shoot and get some, you know, shots. I'm not a big believer in faking anything, by the way. I don't believe in the fake showreel days. I would much rather you go and do an event and not charge the client a fee, but have that as an opportunity to have a videographer there. Average length of the videos, Andre, great question. It's shortening by the day is my answer to that. When I think about my first show reel, I cringe because it was like 6 minutes. Maybe people watch 6-minute videos back then. I don't think they do now. My current, if you go to I'm going to talk about prospecting in a moment, but the first video that most clients, when I'm outbound prospecting, will see is around about a minute. So show reels are definitely under 3 minutes, ideally closer to 2. So yeah, 2-minute show reel. But the videos, if you're doing sort of those snippet type video content, I mean, some of those, I'm not sure what the length of these are. Let's go back to that slide. So you can see here, the one that got 16,000 views on Instagram was 46 seconds long. So yeah, the Kit Kat one's 3 minutes, just because it's a full story. It's a full... it's a full content piece, but the way it's edited together, it can carry 3 minutes, if you know what I mean. But yeah, usually the snippet videos are usually sometimes 30 seconds, but yeah, a minute max. We don't need to talk about how attention spans are shortening. But yeah, the shorter the better. Short, sharp videos is certainly where it's at. So hopefully that's answered that question for you. All right, so let's get on to prospecting. So as I said, we're now in a market where, rightly or wrongly, doing a great job on stage and sitting back and waiting for the phone to ring, those days are well and truly over. So even, you know, the most seasoned speakers and the busiest speakers out there are doing proactive prospecting now. So I'm going to show you the process and the kind of blueprint that we follow with our members to build them a pipeline of qualified speaking opportunities. And there's a couple of key elements to it. So LinkedIn is obviously the primary platform that we use to scrape that data. So it's about identifying what are your 6 to 8 core target industries. Now, often I get a little bit of resistance on this because people say, well, anyone who's holding a conference is my target market. No, the best thing you can do is get absolute clarity on what are the 6 to 8 key industries that your message is best suited for. It's not to say that they're the only industries that you'll speak to, but getting clarity and getting really specific with your target and your ideal client avatar makes the prospecting process so much more powerful. So what are the 6 to 8 key industries? What are the job titles within those particular industries? Is it for some it will be the CEO, depending on your topic and depending on the industry. For some it will be head of people and culture. It could be the events manager, and often we will target multiple people within that organization. But thinking about what are those key industries and really combining that with traditional networking. And there's also a couple of other platforms that we use to cross-reference that data, to scrape that data from LinkedIn. But starting a conversation with someone in LinkedIn. Now, here is the most important thing I want you to take away from this. Is with prospecting, particularly using LinkedIn, it's really important that you are please don't send people to your website. It will not have, you won't get results and people won't go to your website. You're asking. What's much more powerful with prospecting and particularly using LinkedIn is a give, not an ask. So it's a give, not an ask. So if you, I'm sure if I've got an example here. Yes, I do. Okay. So not sending them to your website, sending them to a dedicated landing page, ideally customized for their industry. And I'll show you an example in a moment. It's called a Let's Connect page. But the message, so we do the outbound connection request, and the research shows, by the way, that if you request a connection versus sending a customized message, the response rate, there's very little difference in the response rate. So our process is to send a connection request to someone within the parameters and within the filters that we've identified. When they accept that connection request, we then send them a message, a custom message in LinkedIn to say, hey, David, thanks so much for connecting. To say thank you, I would love to give you a digital and audio copy of my book. So you're sending them to a page where you're giving, you're not asking. So let me show you how that works. So you're sending them to that Let's Connect page, not sending them to your website, and certainly not sending them your speaker kit. We ideally then want to run a parallel message in email, which is why we scrape that data to ideally get the prospect's email address. So parallel to the LinkedIn message, we will then send a message in email to say, hey, David, I know we're chatting in LinkedIn, but I just also thought I'd pop this into your inbox. I would love to give you a copy. So that runs parallel. And then the ideal is to, as I said, get them out of LinkedIn into your ecosystem and ideally get them onto a Zoom call to chat about, and the positioning around that is not to, so I can tell you about how amazing I am as a speaker, for me to find out what you're currently focusing on and how I might be able to add value. So the positioning of that messaging is really important. And then what we do is create some other content pieces to send them, to pop them into that nurture sequence. And that finishes with an email. If you don't get any response from those 3, 4, 5 messages, we then send a message to say, hey, I won't bother you again, David. I just thought I'd try one more time. Are you still keen to talk about how I might be able to add value to what you're currently focusing on? And that often gets a response if you haven't got a response from any of those other emails. So let me show you the Let's Connect page. So a couple of things with this page. As I said, it's not part of the main website. It's a dedicated landing page and ideally customized. So you would, when you get to an advanced level, you would ideally have multiple versions of this Let's Connect page that are customized for your 6 to 8 key industries with relevant content. But I'll just show you a generic version. So a couple of things that it needs to be saying and the story that it needs to be telling is firstly a hero image of you on stage. You can see that above the fold line is my speaker kit. So you can see that that can be downloaded in one click, sorry. And then there is this video. Now this video is specifically edited for prospecting. So it's not a show reel. The objective of this video is to tell a story very, very quickly. So if you were to go to amandastevens.com.au/let's connect, Leigh, I'll just maybe get you to pop that in the chat box for everyone so you can review it later. Happy for you to look at any of this, by the way, and reverse engineer it for yourself. It's a very fast edited video, and in the first 10 seconds of that video, I think there's something like 18 different cuts of me on stage. So it's telling that story really quickly. It's got a really high energy to it, and it's like you want to elicit a like, oh wow, okay, lots of different stages, very experienced speaker, I am in safe hands. So that is that video. Actually, I've got it here. You won't be able to see the sound, but I just want you to have a look at the first 10 seconds of this video and the story that it's telling. So that's the first 10 seconds of this video. So as you can see, lots of different cuts. Let's go back. Where am I? Okay, and then I haven't popped in here for some reason, but under that speaker kit is the give. So it's the download of the book and the audio book. So that's a really important distinction with this prospecting strategy, is that when you are doing this outbound prospecting and someone is accepting a connection request, your first message to them is a give, not an ask. So that's the one thing I want you to take away from that is it's a give, not an ask. So you're giving them something, and we've got different members of ours. If you don't have a book, by the way, there's lots of different things that you can bring to life. We've got members who've done audio programs. We've got a couple of members who are experimenting with a physical book. So if you go to that Let's Connect page, you actually pop your details in and they will send you a physical copy of that book, which is obviously an investment, but getting great results. It could be a white paper, it could be a research piece. So lots of different lead magnets that you can use to bring this prospecting strategy to life, but just ensure that that first port of call is a give, not an ask. All right, let's talk now about client love. As I said, often what you do either side of your speaking gig and the time that you spend on stage will really determine whether you get further opportunities. So this is all about repeat and referral business. So really creating an experience for the client either side. So happy for you to screen capture this, or of course it will be in the recording as well. But this is really just a little bit of a framework for thinking about before someone's even sort of heard of you, but you just maybe on their consideration set, when they make the inquiry, when they book you, and showtime. So what is the messaging that you want to be communicating? How do you want them to feel? So this is, I guess, a little bit of a client experience matrix, if you like. What actions do we want them to be taking? So just really thinking about what's the next step that we want a client to be taking at each of these different stages in the path to purchase. And then what are the actions and touch points? So what are the assets and marketing materials that ideally you want your clients to have access to at each of those different stages? So how are you drip feeding that content, and how much content do you have, that bank of content that clients can access? As Taki Moore likes to say, bingers are buyers. So the more content that you can be providing and the more you can be layering that content, particularly video, that's where you increase your, build that credibility really quickly and increase your chances of being booked as a speaker. So they're the four kind of stages that obviously lead up to you being booked and lead up to you being on stage. But then thinking about what's the post-event process. So this is just the touch points that I create for my clients as an example. And it's just really tapping into that law of reciprocity. If you advocate for your client, they will advocate for you. Think of it as a relationship, not a transaction. There are lots of speakers. I've seen lots of speakers in my 15 years who are kind of the flavor of the month. They'll turn up to a gig, they'll do their gig and they'll walk out they'll never think about that client ever again. And I just think you're missing out on such an opportunity. You've just treated it as another kind of gig, and those speakers come and go pretty quickly, because it's really about, how can you demonstrate ongoing value to a client? It's not just about what you do on stage. So really kind of thinking about what you do straight after, thinking about the 14 to 30 days post-event. So I'll always try and book in a briefing call. And then 90 days post is always important touch point for me as well. So it's saying to the client, I know we worked together like 3 months ago, but I'm still thinking about you. So I'll often send them an email to say, hey, I just had a thought, or I found this article, I thought you might be interested. So it's just about creating those additional touch points and transitioning from transaction to relationship mindset. We have some questions. And thank you, Lay. Lay has popped the link to the Let's Connect page in the chat. So maybe copy that and you can have a look at that later. What email software do you use? How much of this is automated? Really good question, Melina. Some of my stuff is automated. A lot of it's not. So it's more labor intensive, but I'm doing at the moment not as much speaking as I did prior to COVID, just for lifestyle choices. My son's at school, so I'm probably do about 60 this year. So I won't automate those emails. I'll do it, old school, and customize them. So, but in terms of marketing software, the platform that we use is Kartra. But with whatever system that you use, you can automate as much of this as you want, really. So we have a lot of our members are using ActiveCampaign, a lot are just using MailChimp, so keeping it really simple. So yeah, lots of different platforms all doing the same thing. All right, so that is the post-gig process that I wanted to share with you, and hopefully that gives you some things to think about. So it just really is about extending the conversation and extending that relationship and tapping into that law of reciprocity. All right, so we're on to maximization. So as I said, one of the things I would love you to take away from today is thinking about how you can turn, particularly if you're just getting started, how do you turn one speaking engagement into multiple? And that is about firstly tapping into that, thinking about your client nurture program, and also planting the seed very early on in your process. So just let me show you a couple of things on this. So what I mean by planting the seed before the keynote is in your briefing call or in your initial sales call with the client, they might say, hey, we'd love you to speak for 60 minutes at our conference. And they'll often ask that because that's the frame of reference that they have. And often that's not what the client needs. So your ability in that briefing call or in that initial sales call to identify not only what they need, but where's the additional value that you can bring to the table. So I'll give you an example. Just this week, I had an inquiry from a relatively small client, wanted me to go to their office and do a presentation for their team. And through that process and the discussion that I had with the client, what I realized is what they need is not a one-off presentation. They actually need more of a program. So that has turned a one-off kind of workshop with 12 people into a 12-month program. So just thinking about planting that seed. If a client has booked you for a keynote, even if they're not committing to anything beyond the keynote, is actually just planting the seed. So often what I'll say, I had a retail client, for example, who a huge conference, 3,500 people, but in the initial conversations, I said to them, really looking forward, like that's, opening speaker, fantastic. What we may want to talk about after the conference is maybe doing some follow-up videos to go out to the network to really kind of reinforce and extend the message. So I already planted that seed, and that's a conversation that we're now having. So thinking about going beyond the keynote, but planting the seed way before in those initial discussions. Their bulk books are adding value. So if you have a book or you have an audio program or something else that you can either bundle in to add value or upsell to the client. So often a bulk book order will really just help you maximize the dollar value of a speaking gig, delivering that follow-up value, video content, and tagging on social. So question I get asked often is, do you ever get pushback from a client who doesn't want you to video your event? I have it in my contract to say, Amanda, we'll be videoing the event and we'll provide a highlights reel. I think I've had maybe 3 instances where the client has said no, and that's usually just for privacy reasons. But it's the way I position it to the client is I'll have a videographer there with me on the day, and really happy to provide a show reel edit or a highlights video for you if that's something that you can use. So and always tagging the client and the Speakers Bureau if they have booked you on social is super important. Tapping into that reverse advocacy, as I said, with particularly LinkedIn recommendations. Always think about writing a recommendation if you've worked with a client, and that will often lead to them writing you one in return. Now, just a thought, presumptive proposal. Often when I'm working with a client, as part of that 90-day process that I showed you, the just a thought will often actually be a proposal. So if I've got a good relationship with the client, plus I've planted the seed with them, I just make it super easy for them to make that decision with a presumptive proposal to say, hey, I just had a thought about some follow-up video content or video training for your team. And so just put like a really light proposal together with some pricing, and that's often led to really cool follow-up work. So that is some ideas on how you can maximize the dollar value of a keynote opportunity. Any questions, pop them in the chat. How are we going for time? Awesome. Helen, thoughts on using AI and where this might fit into behind the scenes assisting in admin? Yeah, great question. There are, I don't need to tell you, we're in our AI era, and there are a gazillion ways that you can use AI in your speaker business. I use 2 AI platforms. I keep it really simple. ChatGPT is my go-to. Actually, Leah, what I might get you to do is, just as a bonus, I'm feeling generous today, is if you could pop the link to the ChatGPT prompts for speakers into the chat. Lay's now going, that's amazing. Where will I find that? I'll keep talking, Lay, while you're finding it. So we've put together, I'm not sure how many, hundreds and hundreds of prompts for ChatGPT of how you can use ChatGPT across your business, particularly for content generation. I'm about to show you a little framework for content, which you can plug AI straight into. Yeah, content. I'm not sure about the behind the scenes assisting and admin. I'm not sure exactly, but look at those ChatGPT prompts. We could probably do a whole session on AI, but in terms of AI, the way I use it is predominantly content generation. It's really good for that. Please don't ever publish anything that was exclusively written by ChatGPT. It's really good for prompts, and it's really good for idea generation, and it's really good for just thinking about how to repurpose your content. It's really good for plugging your video content in and letting it think of ways to repurpose that content. So predominantly content is how I would use it. I'm not sure about assisting in admin because we have a team of VAs to do that. Cutting and editing videos, absolutely. Yeah, AI is getting very sophisticated on that front. So, and that's why investing in producing video content is so important, because we now have all of these tools that can help us repurpose that content. So speaking of content, let me jump onto that. But I just want to quickly tell you a little bit about our program. So Speaker Marketing Success came about because, as I said, I had this team in the Philippines, and what was happening along the way is I had a lot of my speaker buddies, Keith Abraham, Julie Cross, Chris Helder, before he was my boyfriend and then husband, was saying to me, hey, I love what your team's doing. Do you reckon your team could just do this little thing for me? Or do you think your team could edit this video or create this webpage? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. And it was actually Keith Abraham, the godfather of speaking, who sat me down one day and said, Amanda, you have to make this available to speakers because it's their number one pain point. People don't like marketing. They don't like editing videos. They just want to step onto more stages. So that's the pain and you have the pill. So that's how Speaker Marketing Success came about. To our knowledge, it's the only program of its type in the world. So we just help speakers and we just help them with their marketing, their prospecting and their branding, and really elevating their brand and their video and their digital assets out in the market so that they can step onto more stages. So it's a really cool program. We provide all of the tools that you could ever possibly need. Think of it as a virtual marketing team that you just plug into your business with all of the training and all of the resources that you possibly might need. So these are just some of the trainings that we've done. We've got experts who've come in and shared all of their knowledge on particular expert topics like PR, like the science of writing a proposal, SEO, anything that you might want to learn about marketing is in the members portal. We also, each quarter, do a content creation boot camp. This is the location in Noosa, worst places to create content. As you can see, we've got our next one on the 27th of February. And this is really cool. We just get everyone together for a half day and everyone smashes out their content for 90 days. And I want to show you quickly, share with you the framework that we teach in our program for how you can generate lots and lots of cool content. And it's all about the prompts and it's all about getting your brain wired for creating content and bringing your expertise to life. And the framework that we use, that we teach, that is our framework, is called the amS method of creating content. So amS stands for memory, observation, opinion, story, and experience. So they are the prompts that we use, and these content creation worksheets is the worksheets that we use. We will send you a copy of this worksheet after, or it may even be in your workbook, but if it's not, we will send you one. And often we've had, I think the record that we've had in one content creation session was Dr. Neril East, who's our actually member number one. She was the first member to ever join Speaker Marketing Success. In one session, she completed 27 amS method worksheets, content creation worksheets. So that's what's possible when you focus and you just smash out your content over a very concentrated, focused period. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So memory prompt might be, for example, my grandmother always liked to say that start as you mean to continue. And that might be an analogy and a framework for the power of first impressions in the customer experience. So that's a memory-based prompt. Observation may be something that you're observing in the market. What I've noticed is that people are more impatient than they've ever been, and these are the reasons why. So it's an observation of yours that helps you bring your expertise and your perspective, your point of view around that particular topic. An opinion might be something, and it could be a little bit controversial. I did an opinion piece on LinkedIn recently about the fact that my opinion on Elon Musk and his behavior on social media, because my son idolizes him. And gee, didn't that go viral? I think it had like 380,000 impressions, and I got some proper hate mail. So often an opinion might not be popular with some people, but it certainly is that thing that gets traction and gets attention. So opinion-based content pieces are really important, particularly if you're a business speaker. And it's good to have an opinion. And sometimes if that opinion's contrarian, that's great. But if you stand by that opinion and you create discussion and you create debate, then often that's a really good thing. A story-based experience is a story about something that happened. Yeah, Michael, I agree. When you generate the haters, particularly in the US, the Elon Musk and Trump supporters, you know you have made it, my friend. All right, so yeah, story is a story that happened, something that happened, or it could be a story, a historical story, and it's your take on it. It could be an experience. I just did something on LinkedIn yesterday around an experience I had in Boracay when we just flew our team there the week before last. And it was just something that I experienced while I was at the hotel, and sort of told that story around the power of the little things in the customer experience. So they're the 5 prompts that can help you bring your content to life. So these content worksheets are really good because it's just about getting your ideas out of here. You have right now so much content up here, and it's just about having the right framework and the right prompts to get it out of your head and onto paper. And then, you know, you might do 27 worksheets and only bring 3 of those content pieces to life, or you might park some and do them later when they're more relevant. But that's the kind of framework. And if you're still struggling with content and you're like, what do I write about? What do I make videos about? Here are 30 content ideas for you that are suitable for speakers. And if you're eagle-eyed, you'll know that there's only 28 there, but I was never great at maths. But if you get through those 28 and you still want 2 more, send me a message. So I think they're in your worksheet, but if they're not, we will send you, oh yeah, there we go. I didn't actually pop it on there. So there's 30 content ideas. So this content worksheet, sorry, I was probably didn't show you that. So this content worksheet is about taking those ideas, memory, observation, opinion, story, and experience, getting those ideas out of your brain and onto paper to have a play with that content creation worksheet. Super fun and a super cool way to get to bring your ideas to life. And there are your 28 content ideas. So prompts for lots of things that you can talk about, write about, and make videos about. All right. I did make these available. So these are your bonus resources for coming and playing with us today, which we super appreciate. You give me the greatest gift, which is your time. So those bonus resources are the AI prompts for speakers. Lay, hopefully you didn't spend time looking for that, because here it is. Here's one I prepared earlier. That content creation worksheet, the AI prompts, the content ideas. And we've also just recently, for those of you who are inspired today or thinking about launching a podcast, please do it. I'm launching a new podcast in about 6 weeks. So we've put together a podcast launch kit of all of the things you need to think about and all of the bit of a checklist of things that you need to do to create and bring a podcast to life and launch it out into the wild. So if you just go to speakermarketingsuccess.com.au/resources, you will find those bonus resources. You are welcome. Troy, thanks for joining. Any other questions before we wrap up? I have left a little bit of time for questions. So if, thank you, Helen, I appreciate it. You guys were amazing too. But I hope, my hope today is that I have raised as many questions as I have answered. Because obviously we've covered a lot of content, and hopefully you get the sense that this is really, I've only just managed, being able to scratch the surface of this 90 minutes that we've had together today. So if you do want to learn more about our program, to see if it's the right fit for you, or just really jump on a call to have a brainstorm, share a little bit about where you're at. I love talking to speakers about speaking. It's one of my great passions in life. I can do it all day, every day. So if you'd like to maybe learn more about our content creation day that's coming up in Noosa on the 27th of Feb, or you'd like to learn about our signature program where we work with speakers and plug our virtual marketing team into your business to elevate your brand, elevate all of your assets so that you can step onto more stages, then you simply need to snap this QR code or go to that page. Can't reach the website. Oh, the resources page. Let me have a look. That page is not working. Lay, is that link working? Lay's just popped the link in so you can click straight on it. thank you for that. So that's the resources, the bonus downloads. But yeah, if you are keen to jump on a call with me and have a brainstorm, absolutely no pressure, no obligation. I'm happy to just give you some ideas, or if you do want to explore if the program is a right fit for you, or you, as I said, like to learn more about our content creation day coming up in that beautiful $40 million mansion in Noosa. It's a fun place to hang out and a very inspiring environment to create content. Then we'd love you to join us. So you can click on that link, book a call with me, and learn more about all of those cool options for you. But yeah, any other questions? This is an advanced Valentine's Day gift. It is, absolutely. I don't know quite what that means, Michael, but maybe that's my Valentine's gift to you. Absolutely. Is it Valentine's Day soon? It must be. But thank you guys. I really do appreciate you being here today. As I said, this day I've covered a lot of content. I've given you probably a lot of things to think about, hopefully some things to take action on. I really want you to look at everything you've learned today. I know a lot of you have madly been taking notes, which is awesome. Please don't feel overwhelmed. I've shared so much with you today, but just start where you are. Just pick 1, 2, 3 things that you know that you can take action on, and just do it. Just take action. Things like video. For me, video is not a natural medium for me. I know that probably sounds weird to you, but I would much rather stand on a stage for 60 minutes with 9,000 people than record a 60-second video. It makes me anxious, but I do it because I know that it generates, it works for me. It works for my business. So if you do nothing else but make a video every day for the next 30 days, do that. You may not publish any of them or release any of them into the wild, but you never know. You might, after 14 days, the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the better you get at it, the more you enjoy it. And you might find that you strike some gold with a video content piece that can help you generate speaking inquiries so you can step onto more stages and have a greater impact. And that is my goal for you. So thank you so much for joining today. I'm here to support you in your speaker journey. So book a call or reach out, and let's talk about how to get you onto more stages and build the speaking business of your dreams. Thanks so much for joining, and have an awesome rest of your day.